it going, everybody? My name is David Smock. I'm a senior solutions engineer with Slack. So I work with some of Slack's largest customers on, to work with them on how they can use Slack in their own enterprise. And one of the most frequent topics of discussion that comes up is how do we think about integrations? How do we give our employees, our users, what they're looking for, while also balancing that with all these security needs that they have. So today we have some folks from Workday who are really experts on both sides of this. They know what it takes to build software that's used by some of the largest companies in the world and a lot of Slack's largest customers. And then they also know what it takes to provide tools to meet their employees' needs while also balancing that with some of the enterprise considerations. So today we have, I'll change the order around here. We have Gloria Leung, who's Senior Manager of Workforce Technology Experience at Workday, so working to provide that experience for employees. And then Josh Lannin, Senior Director of Engineering at Workday, who's working on building an eagerly anticipated Slack integration for Workday. So to kick us off, Josh, can you give us a little bit of an overview of Workday?
Yeah, thanks, David. First, great to be here. It's been a pleasure to talk to so many people at this conference. So a little bit about Workday. Workday's a large provider of workforce HCM and financial solutions. We have over 2,000 customers that tend to range from the medium to very largest of organizations that operate on a global footprint. And we were built first on the cloud. We deliver all of our software on the same release and same code line for all of our customers. I know it's a developer conference, so I thought I'd share a couple tidbits about that. We have 6 data centers deployed worldwide, and we also leverage Amazon as a public cloud infrastructure. Last year, we did about 57 billion requests on behalf of our customers working with that HCM and financial data. And we did that while achieving uptime in the 99th percentile. So we've really built an application that's designed to scale and meet those needs while working with really sensitive data that's about how companies run their business. We've really oriented Workday from day one at serving the needs of those HR and financial professionals to manage their organizations. But now that we have about 30 million employees who are part of the Workday system, they're coming in and using Workday to take time off, look at their payroll information, look up who their coworkers are, and they're increasingly asking us to be able to do that right within the Slack environment itself, which is why we're building our forthcoming Slack integration.
Nice. Well, so Gloria, can you tell us a little bit about Workday's employees and how you're providing software for them?
Yeah, so we're obviously a rapid growth company. Just last year alone, we grew from 5,600 to 8,200 full-time employees. We're actually over 9,000 users at Workday. And so while Slack grew out of the dev organization and how most companies do, we went to Grid last year because we had almost 70% adoption rate short of Grid. And so we wanted to unite all of our users in one collaboration tool. So we decided to go to Grid last year. And what we're really looking for is meeting our users' needs of best-of-breed tools and guaranteeing a good user experience when it comes to collaboration and the tools they use at work.
Nice. And what's that experience with engagement with Slack been across your user base, especially as it's grown from just like disparate developers into something a little more formal?
So we had disparate workspaces before, and now we've grown to 10 plus workspaces, all tied together with Grid, and that's been great. We've grown from a very chaotic and environment where any employee could approve their own apps and install their own apps to more of an enterprise way of thinking and maturing how we support those applications and meeting our users' expectations. So now that we actually turned off the ability for anyone to be able to install their own apps, because we want to guarantee a good user experience. We want to vet those apps and make sure that they're they're secure, that they're scalable, that the performance is as we expect, and we want, again, to make sure that the users can have a guaranteed 24/7 uptime. You know, we're a global company. We want that insurance.
You know, I know, Gloria, we were talking about earlier about some of our Slack usage statistics, like 60% of all our Slack users use an installed Slack application, and then 18% of those are custom Slack integrations that they're using as well. And in the last year, we had about 18 million messages in Slack. So it's just a fundamental part of our workflow and product development and sales and marketing, and then across those different business functions, to be using it as a collaboration tool.
Yeah, so how we think of collaboration at Workday, especially with the introduction of Grid, is we want to take advantage of that one place to work and driving the tools for people to work in one place.
Great. So, Josh, as you've been developing on the Slack platform, what's the experience been like?
It's been really terrific. It's been energizing just how much we're able to drive forward with an integration. And that's because the Slack platform was really built for everyone, from the smallest organizations, like some of you might be, starting an entrepreneurship, building a Slack app, up to something that's large scale, to be able to quickly create Slack applications. So our ability to leverage, modern techniques like webhooks, OAuth, and other capabilities that are really well documented, defined in the Slack environment has been very positive for us. Secondly, we're encouraged by the adoption of open source standards. So in particular, one of the things that we're working on this year is using Workday as a source of identity management. So when people get onboarded as employees, we can automatically provision them into Slack, and to do that integration, we're leveraging an open source standard called SCIM. And so it's been a pleasure to kind of work on that. And what really drives that engine for us is that there's also a really vibrant Slack development community. As evidenced by this conference, it was so exciting to see some of the new capabilities get rolled out this morning, and then talk with everyone else about it. And we rely a lot on the Slack communities to kind of help us solve problems very quickly and have that level of outreach. So, coming from the world of enterprise software, where integrations can take a long time and be really painful to kind of work out, to something where we can operate in a nimble fashion, has been great.
Fantastic. So Workday handles some of the most sensitive data a company can have, like a lot of employee information, payroll, all kinds of different things that are regulated. So as you're building out this sort of integration and app on Slack to help work with this data, how do you think about balancing having a useful app and a compelling user experience with all these different security considerations that pop up?
That's a great question. I mean, and I think it's totally achievable. Again, whether you're a small company or a big one, it starts with the fundamental principles. And for us, it's about trust with the customer that we want to build. So Workday is what we call a data processor. We do not own the customer's data. The customers are in control of their own information. And it's that whole mindset change that's really important to be able to service the needs of the enterprise. So specifically, what's that mean from a practical perspective of developing an application? All data at Workday is encrypted at rest. And Workday employees don't have access to that information unless it's written into a contractual agreement or the customer's requesting us to look at it. So if a customer requests someone in support to look at something with their live information, there's a very secure process in order to be able to do that. And that's really a trust-building exercise with customers, so that they can ensure that this most sensitive of information is really theirs to control and to comply with all the kind of regulatory environment constraints that exist out there. This is challenging for those of us who look at best building practices for quickly delivering chatbots, for example. There are a lot of books out there that sort of say, hey, build the bot. Listen to what your users struggle with by monitoring what they're doing in your log files, and then going and making improvements as a product management team or an engineering team. That's not a kind of best practice for the enterprise. I would love to be able to directly see those insights, but I could be seeing data that the customer is inadvertently sharing that's really private to them. And so we tackle this a lot by putting in place user research, providing customer opportunities to share with us what they want to share versus having insight into their data, and just thinking about that notion of we're a data processor, not a controller, from kind of day one with what we're doing. And related to this, GDPR is a big thing right now for us. It's sort of the month where I think everyone who has working with a service provider is getting an email from them asking you to sign up for their new terms of service. I know my inbox is flooded with those. Workday is really aligned our entire platform to support GDPR, and so we've built in some of those features. And while you might not have the engineering resources to do that, if you're building a nimble startup, you should think about the kinds of capabilities that you might want to architect into the platform. So those are things like supporting the right to purge user data along the lines of the right to be forgotten. That means having good auditing policies so you know who's looked at what information and when within your organization. And then finally having an incident response plan. So just sit down and think about, if something were to happen with customer data, have you already committed to all of your customers that you'll reach out and tell them about exactly what's happened proactively versus sort of waiting for them to find out about it because it's leaked out into the press. It's just a mindset change, and it can be the little bit of activity that you need to put into it that gives customers that confidence in buying your solution.
Yeah, so let's go from the building side, so you can do all that sort of stuff, to the other end of the table. So, when people at Workday are coming to you and submitting a request, like, I want this integration, or I want to even build something, you have to evaluate that. You have to make that call on, is this something that is going to be worthwhile to bring into Workday? Is it something that's going to be secure? So how do you go about thinking about that and evaluating?
Well, fortunately and unfortunately, the way we think about internal apps and either build versus buy is very much like and a Slack app is very much like we think about any other app that we buy for Workday. So just like Josh is building a secure framework and application at a product level, we think about it the same way. We want that same level of security. While Slack may not be a financial application, you may not be held to things like Sarbanes-Oxley. However, we can't guarantee whether there is customer information that may or may not get in there, and so we do have to make sure that the end provider is compliant with GDPR and possibly SOC 2 compliance. We want to know where that information is going when it leaves Slack, and then how it gets back into Slack. We don't want to have any question about what happens to that data when it leaves Slack. And so we want ultimate control. We want to know that those privacy policies are in place and that we're making sure that our end users know where that data is going.
So are there particular things that you're looking for in a Slack app directory listing, for instance, that could help you get a better sense of things before you go on full-bore evaluation of everything?
Yeah, we'd love to know more about your platform, where that data is going, and the more information you can give us, the easier it is for us to make that call on whether or not to click on that approve button. Otherwise, we're going to reach out to you, and it's going to take time. We really value speed of innovation at Workday, so we want to meet our users where they are and give them the tools that they need. However, it may take a while for us at an enterprise level to make sure that we have the correct security and privacy reviews in place, and that our data is intact and secure and encrypted.
And so I think some of the times it's like building on public infrastructure can be a real advantage in this day and age, because you're going to get a lot of those capabilities that public infrastructure provides. We'd want to know, if you're using public infrastructure, where's the data reside geographically? That's actually part of GDPR as well. So knowing where the data is tenanted could have implications for us and would be important as well as a consideration.
So, the other side of what we do is if you can't meet us with those privacy and security needs, We are looking to build in-house. While I don't have dedicated developers on it, we are looking at platforms that we can democratize so that we have developers all throughout Workday that can build on top of these platforms and on top of Slack, and that our IT organization we're trying to build it into a center of excellence where we can just kind of accept app development and from other parts of the organization and then approve those apps so that we can, again, have that speed of innovation.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last, we have an annual hackathon. We have around 4,000 people in product development, and a huge percentage of them last year were Slack applications that people were building because there's so many developers at Workday are just thinking about how they could build something into Slack, and because the platform's easy to adopt, that's big for us.
But really, we do look at third-party apps. We do want to use your apps. You just need to give us that level of trust. That you're handling our data securely.
Yeah.
There's one other element that I thought I'd add that we sort of look at as well, which is uptime, because we've got people distributed all over the place. If you're using a public cloud provider, you are probably aware of what your uptime has been for the last couple months. Please publish that on the web and link it from the app directory. That's going to be really relevant to us because ultimately, if those apps are not available, somebody's not going to call you. They're going to call the IT team and sort of ask what's going on with that. So just giving us that comfort level that things are up and running at a high level of availability. May not need to be 5 nines, but like what is it and how's that changed over time, and those kinds of transparency around it really helps us make well-informed decisions.
We're looking for supportability and scalability ultimately. We have, again, 9,000 and growing users in Slack, and we want to make sure that they can all use your app at the same level.
What other things have you seen, either developing or consuming applications at an enterprise scale that might be surprising considerations at the number of users or data sets that you have?
Yeah, it's building the app is easy, but it's amazing the amount of design-led thinking that you want to do, building a conversational interaction paradigm. Because if you just sort of try to replicate, your classic form-based enterprise application experience, into a chat, it's really not going to work well with users. So sitting down, really, mapping out those flows, understanding how to make them streamlined, intuitive, and discoverable. Has been a huge part of it. From a user experience perspective as well, we work with really large data sets. And so thinking about what happens when you're deploying to thousands of users from a UX perspective matters. And just to give you an example of this, we have a customer that's got a few 100,000 employees. They're based in Asia. The number of people that they have with the exact same first and last name is enormous. And so if you go and do a search for some of those people, you can get 200, 300 matches on a name. And that doesn't make for a great user interface if it's a drop-down experience and you're supposed to pick 1, 2, or 3, or 4 people, and you're wondering, well, which one is it? And so am I showing enough information in order to be able to deal with the volume of data? Is just something to really think about and sort of emulate with your application. So that sample data set size that you're using, if you don't have a customer that size, is really critical to think about. With Workday, we have those customers, they have operating in, hundreds or thousands of locations. And so the way that we show cities and states and things of that nature is just designed to scale. So that kind of UX perspective really needs to match the size of the data set size, and all too often we see people go out with an application and then it kind of falls down at first large customer. So the more you can think ahead about that data volume or data scale as part of your Slack app development, the better positioned you'll be to go get deployed at a more significant sized enterprise.
Great. So what else do you guys either looking for or looking forward to when it comes to administration of apps and how you guys have to work with these across large numbers of users and workspaces?
So we hopefully, we want to partner with Slack and then with obviously you, the developers, to give us more information about how secure your apps are. We also are looking forward to some more UX improvements of managing apps. And one of the things to hang off of what we were saying, Josh, before about UX is we want to make it easy for users to use, and that makes it easier for us to turn it on for our users. It's great to have slash commands and quick apps, but at the same time, we are looking for that next level of user experience. We're looking for button clicks. While again, we started out in kind of that dev techie environment, we are quickly growing to a non-dev user base, and we want to make it easier for them to use and manage that across all applications. So the workspace, app management, that's going to be a game changer for us to be able to turn on those apps at a workspace level, so that again everyone has the same user experience, and that we're not just onesie twosie having people have that custom experience. We want our users to know what they expect when it comes to apps and what Workday provides as tools for them.
Yeah, I put some green stickers on the roadmap board for App Insights. I saw a lot of other people did as well. And then, yeah, again, the message actions and block kit will be really vital for us to kind of reach out, beyond the dev-centric audience that loves their, command line style interface. And needs something that's a little bit easier to use and intuitive and discoverable. So those are some features we know we'll be leveraging with our forthcoming app.
Great. So what are some of the top apps that you guys have out there? Like, what's indispensable that you're using all the time or your employees are using?
So Zoom, we turned on Zoom for the enterprise last year, so that's been a big game changer for us. Going from kind of the old world, WebEx world, to the new Zoom video centric world. And then we use, for better or for worse, a lot of Jiffy. And what other things? Yeah.
We have like 1 million emoticons, so that's gone crazy at Workday. Like, it's pretty amazing the level of customization and animated emoticons that are deployed. Google has got some nice integration capabilities that we're using today. So it's been fun. I mean, we have some now channels that are for the whole company where we share things that we're doing, giving and doing activities, charitable work, and those we post pictures from the mobile phone, just have literally hundreds of people come in, comment on them. So it's a great way of kind of like scaling our culture. Which is, just a core part of the Workday identity out is having that level of interaction. And so, we're just sort of looking at it as it's a communication tool, but it's also a culture building tool, and just has great potential in that respect. And I've talked to some other, startups here that are doing some, things in the reward and recognition space, and that's certainly interesting from a Workday perspective as well.
Great. So what other miscellaneous words of wisdom do you guys have? Anything like that pops in your mind about what advice you would give to people developing apps, or just in general your experience that you've had building?
I think for the internal development, I think we've learned that things change quickly, and then we've changed a lot of technologies to kind of work around it, moving to maybe internal servers to going to the cloud and using AWS. So the same goes for you guys. I think looking at things that are public infrastructure and really high availability public infrastructure.
Yeah, we want to be part of the community, so we're around. Please come talk to us, about what you're doing. We'd love to learn from that. And so that's sort of my final thought. I do think there's a nice marriage of what we can bring from an enterprise perspective while still delivering kind of best-in-class user experience that's target fit for collaboration conversation. So it's a great opportunity ahead of us.
Perfect. Yeah, so the thing that struck me the most, covering the large customers, and I'm on the East Coast, so I get a lot of financial services as well, is how quickly the conversation shifts from let's be as open as possible, install everything, and move fast, into, hey, we'd love to do that, but we've never done that before. So yeah, I think it's one of those things, as you guys were saying before, it's not to be intimidated, it's just to know coming into the discussion that there's gonna be a bit more to go through up front to get installed, and a lot more expectations on the functionality, the reliability, the sort of engagement that you're gonna have. So I think one of the number one things that you guys said was to get as much information out there up front, which gets that comfort level, and transparently might avoid some of those harder discussions down there. So great, thank you guys so much. Thanks Josh and Gloria for giving the insights. Can't wait to see the Workday app when it's live, and how it evolves over time. And yeah, as they said, we'll be around to talk for the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.